You know, now we need to aggressively get more people into that service. We have to increase the arming of that service, and then we have to, in fact, if possible, do border lining. We need to create intelligence assets within the border communities, such that they will be, because if you notice, Boko Haram had dealt, in fact, many immigration agents, they don't want to go to work in the northeast because their lives are at stake. You know, what happened was Boko Haram went after a lot of those border agents because, you know, they were causing trouble for them. You know, their easy passage, bringing guns in and bringing all kinds of stuff into the country. So what I'm saying is we need to go back, because that's where the battle starts. You know, if you are here, you are trying to contain and there is seepage, then what are you containing when it's seeping? You know, so that's really, so we need to hire more border agents, we need to arm them well, and then write joint border and military patrols. Now, what happens right now is we have border and police, we have the police border squad, whatever they call themselves, they have that, but they are only here in the southwest where it's safe, where it's peaceful. But in the north, where in the BH district, everybody is absent, including the immigration. Everybody is absent. Everybody is answering his papa's name. So I think.
But there must be a way of securing the border.
Well, we need to get area patrols.
Human beings.
We need to get area patrols. Yes, human beings. Those ones, because you must interview. You must talk to people. You must interrogate. You must arrest. Even if you catch them aerially, you need to also seize them physically to prevent them coming in. You need to fly area missions around there. We can get UAVs. UAVs are available even as low as 250,000 naira. UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. Okay. You can fly UAVs, and from a point you can, you know, use their cameras to survey what is going on. So when you see people, you now send officers to, you know, interdict. You know, so you have to do a lot of. There has to be some good thinking going on in there, and I think. We need to really look at our security situation seriously as it relates to the border, because the border is our biggest problem right now. Even if not the Navy, we'll have even bigger problems even in the littoral borders, that's the water borders, because anything can come in. So you imagine it's just the big Sahara that's saving us, because most stuff will have been coming into this country.
Okay, as we begin to move towards the end of the conversation, I want to ask this of everybody, but let me start with you, Ona. Why is it that it becomes almost impossible to say we can create a lockdown in any town or city in Nigeria with the number of people we have in our security agencies? Why is it impossible?
It's a good question you ask. Let's even not talk about the whole city. Let's just talk about an area, a lockdown. It's the same thing as a cordon. That is why a lot of those politicians are giving bad name to JTF. When there's an incident, you must create a quick cordon that seal off an area, a defined area, and create a perimeter such that your men who are conducting the search and investigations, they are protected. It's an element of force protection, because they have their backs turned and they don't know who is behind them and who could shoot them. So you create a cordon. The people in the outer perimeter secure the perimeter. They don't let anybody in or anybody out, because you want to quickly find out the perpetrators so that you can gain some useful information that will be useful in protecting, preventing such attacks and protecting the citizenry. But people don't like that. Look at what happened in Boston. The city was locked down. I didn't hear Americans abusing Obama, saying, come and carry your police and your FBI, come over here. Nobody said that. People understood that it was for their own protection. And that is what we need to do in this country.
But when we see results, it will be a lot easier to chew on.
There's been a lot of good work that's been done. I just told you about Mohammed Chad. Mohammed Chad went through a number of schools, killing female students, killing their principals. You know, in Meduguri, he was a butcher. You know, so, I mean, when they put that money in his grave, I'm very proud of the military. No, they've been doing a lot of good job. They've taken down a lot of BH commanders. They've taken down, look at even what happened even in Baga. They lost one troop, but they were able to, neutralize 30 BH terrorists. So, I mean, the military has been doing a fantastic job in that regard, but it's the tactic, this cordon. People don't like the cordon. So, now, I am saying you want to cordon an area, maybe roundabout in Maiduguri, or Ruwanzafi, or Bulabulin Ward. When you do that, they scream, they make a lot of noise, talk more of cordoning a whole city. So you see the kind of phone calls. GSM is a terrible business. People will be calling the president, say, hey, they want to kill us, this and that. People make up things in this country. They don't, I think our civics, they shouldn't remove civics from our education. Yes. Civics is very important because people don't know their civic duty to the country. They don't even understand their relationship with law enforcement or even with the military who is trying to perform a law enforcement function. And so it's really very unfortunate. So there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of half-truths, untruths, falsehoods.
Okay, so Dairo, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think we need to start immediately addressing, like he said, the people cry out when such cordon happens. And back to what I said, that probably means that beyond the operatives, beyond these guys, there are some Boko Harams we're not seeing. Because if I imagine myself living in a place like Maiduguri, and something like this is going on, and the military is cordoning the area to fish out the bad guys, I doubt if I will feel any inconvenience by that, temporary, I doubt if I'll feel that bad by that temporary convenience at the expense of an imminent death. Okay, so that still boils down to the issue of interest. Beyond these guys doing the mayhem, who are these people making these phone calls and crying? You understand? So I think we need to really start expanding the borderline of who the enemies are here.
Okay, thank you. Ifeanyi.
Well, it's interesting that you gave the example of the Boston bombing. In search for the fugitive who was running, one of the bomber, the person that was alive, it was at the backyard of one of the residents in Boston, and he was the person who alerted the security about his presence. So in our own case, our people, our community members also have the same interest and patriotism, to report the levels of presence of Boko Haram or extremist groups within their own community. What is the issue?
Strange people, let's say. Strange
people. So what is the issue? What is the reason why community members are not doing that? Why is this perception, like he mentioned about the feeling of disconnect? The people are saying, not feeling that the security that are being deployed to those places are for our own good. Mm-hmm. We don't have that perception, that consciousness, because of the fact that we think that there's a big gap between the leaders and the led.
Us and them.
Us and them. So there's division of us and them. And it continually is being reinforced. So people don't see a sense of patriotism, a sense of consciousness or participating in issues of common good. And I think that is where we begin to look at. Because it's important for us to look at that linkage.
That's where civics comes in.
Yes. The civic education is also key. The way and manner that elected officials, relate with communities, constituencies, is also very important. Because when you relate with constituencies, you are able, to understand the needs of the constituencies. And they feel a part of participation in the common good of all. And so when issues of insecurity arises, then they can also cooperate with security operatives to be able to address the issue, which is looking at issues of insecurity of all.
Which
so it's important that we look at that.
They grow to trust government.
Yes, government needs to be trusted, but there's no trust. There's no trust. We seem to have that divide of we and them.
Okay,
which is
we've had
issue.
some reactions from home, and Shina Fagbenro says the policing system needs total overhaul, and other security agencies need some reform. The armed forces need reorganization of their formations, and Air Force and Naval Intelligence appear non-existent. We want a change, but we appear to want to do things the same way. It is clear that Nigerian Boko Haram are violently against a secular federal state and want a unitary Islamist state which is consistent with what foreign jihadists want.
We want a theocracy.
Yes. Dilly Vincent's writing in from Lagos buttresses what Ifeanyi Okechukwu was just saying. Trust is intrinsic to this experiment of nation building, he said. And if it is missing, the result is the current security and socio-economic challenges we are facing presently. How many of us Nigerians can say unequivocally that we trust our government, if not each other? How can this trust be generated where leadership at all levels, be it at home or in the society, does not walk its talk? Do I say what I do? That's a question from Dilly Vincent.
D. Grego says, youth see the flamboyant way of living of our politicians and bogus government spendings. Give youths jobs and all these challenges will reduce.
Yes, and the last email I'll be reading is from Basil, who wrote in from Port Harcourt. It says, the events happening now is a replay of pre-1966. Let it not surprise us if we enter into another 1996. We pray that will not happen.
We do pray indeed.
And just before we go on this segment, we've got a few messages on Twitter. One is from Lula Dabele. It says, our leaders, especially from northern part of Nigeria, are held responsible for breakdown of law and order. I think he's implying that they should be held responsible. And then Henry Asede says, can't Nigeria get an unmanned drone to monitor
UAV.
our borders? UAV, which is what Ona Ekhomu was mentioning, that we should get those. And then Lawan says, let's say the truth and put an end to the deceit. Call a spade a spade. I can't say the rest of that. Okay, that's all we can take on this segment this morning. Want to say thank you very much, Ifeanyi Okechukwu, the National Coordinator, West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP in Nigeria, and then Ona Ekhomu, our in-house experts, and also Nigeria's expert on security issues.
Yes,
And thanks to you too, from Right to Life, a human rights organization, Dairo. Great to have you here. Thank you very much.